Hello. We are live, and thank you so much for being here. This is a little bit of a new development with how we're doing this. We've got Twitter Spaces going. I hope you can hear. Do a thumbs up if you can. I just unmuted my mic, so hopefully that's not.
I'm doing a thumbs up in my imagination.
Anyway, we're here with Biz Banter Tuesday, 3:30, and we're talking about empathy and enterprise. We are on YouTube, we are on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter Spaces. And Marquetta says that she can hear us, so that's amazing.
Hello, Marquetta. How are you? I'm using my ASMR voice to welcome you to our broadcast today.
I'm going to have to take a picture of this setup that we have going on because it's nuts. I've never done Twitter Spaces with all the mic and video stuff, just usually my phone. So it's been a little stressful. And so it's not going to be that smooth of a show. I'm getting hit under the table.
Because our show today, we are kind of broadcasting. And when I say try, I mean as in triple broadcasting. We're recording this. It's live on YouTube. We're recording it. And because our topic is Americans with Disability Act, and specifically how small businesses can show more empathy to raise awareness in their local marketplace with persons with disabilities and thus increase their enterprise. That's why we call it empathy and enterprise. We took the extra step of inviting a
special guest.
Our interpreter for ASL is Nicole. And so if you're watching this live on YouTube, or if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, raise your hand and say, "Hi, Nicole."
Oh my God, I almost want to start crying because you're so beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. That means a lot to me and to everybody here who may have some hearing impaired disabilities. So thanks, Nicole, for being here. Okay, Trevor, I'm going to be leaning on Trevor mostly. I sort of prepared the show with various stuff, but Trevor did a lot of research and he's got a whole script for us. And anyone who has ever seen us live on video knows that actually scripting isn't my thing. Like I actually am not really good at following the script, but Trevor always just is a champion with scripts. So,
is it too early for me to throw you under the bus?
You can throw me under the bus do we have a sound effect for that?
The bus I'm going to throw you under is very simply this. Yeah, you suck at my scripts.
No, I don't.
You do. You suck at them.
I do. All right. So I think you already opened up saying 1 in 4 U.S. adults or 61 million Americans have a disability. So it was inspired by when I put out a question to the audience. We had asked, what would be a small business topic that you think we should talk about? And somebody chimed in with accessibility. And he shared why. Trevor, do you want to read that? Or
you are really jumping way ahead on the script. It's like that is so far down the script line. I don't even know where to find it.
Well, we have to give people some context on
heaven to Betsy.
We have to give context on how this came about.
Okay. So first of all, when Linda requested topics and this person came back and said accessibility, I had a pretty good idea it is a he, yes?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay,
so.
Let's use the new pronouns and we'll call them they.
Okay.
I wasn't really sure what they were talking about, but I had an idea that it had something to do with ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, and with persons trying to access small business. And right away I jumped on it because we love the idea of small businesses making more money.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do these broadcasts. That's why we create our video playlists, so we can inspire and teach and edumacate. Nicole, I'm not sure if you can do edumacate folks to do better and have fun while they're making money. And so that's why we call it Simple Sense with small business. We like to keep it simple and commonsensical. That's why I loved this idea. I asked Linda to reach out to this person and ask them, what challenges do they meet when trying to do business with small businesses? And they came back with two really key items. And they are, number one, they often struggle with getting equal access to information. And they feel somewhat behind without having closed captioning available, both as a listener and as a speaker. This person specifically is hard of hearing and categorized as deaf. So again, to address that type of issue, that's why we invited Nicole today as our ASL interpreter.
And also, I
wasn't finished,
you
so
weren't?
don't
Okay.
step on my script.
Okay.
I know you think that's funny.
Well, okay. I know you take your script very seriously.
My scripts are very serious.
Okay, so go for it.
This is hard work, and I'm a very serious Scottish person.
Yeah. You are not a serious Scottish person. You're Scottish, but you're just not serious.
The second challenge this person described to us was they noticed that thousands of small businesses. Okay, what?
Sorry.
What are you doing? Oh, and please, we have moved from small business to the Linda Ray Comedy Hour, brought to you by Palmolive.
I was trying to get Aurora Consulting in the Twitter Spaces so that Marquetta isn't totally alone with just me.
If I were driving in Ohio in my car listening to this right now, I probably would have rear-ended a tractor trailer right now. Okay, so the second challenge this hard of hearing deaf person faces, which I think is very similar to many other people, if not all persons with disabilities, is they notice that thousands of small businesses still don't understand that their lack of understanding with the ADA is costing them by prohibiting them from earning more in profits from additional customers and clients. Boom, boom. I love that.
Yeah,
Boom.
That's where the enterprise came in because
I'm giving myself a round of applause.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you. If you're on Twitter Spaces, unfortunately, I don't think you can hear our sound effects. We did a dry run before the show, and the sound effects don't seem to come through to Twitter Spaces. That's why you're going to have to watch it on YouTube, because we have some pretty cool sound effects, if I do say so myself. Linda Ray, take it away.
Okay, well, one of the things that I did handle that I am very familiar with is the fact that because of all the research that Trevor did and the script that I never follow, we also prepared a download that you can grab by going to our website, and which is, I didn't create a banner for that. This thing, like, we put this thing together on the fly, which is why it's such a mess. But if you go to auroraconsulting.biz, you can, there should be a pop-up. And if there isn't, because I just did it a couple hours ago, you can just go to the homepage, and at the bottom, if you scroll down, there's a form that you can fill out. And there's going to be just some questions about like what type of business you're in. And then it'll direct you to the place where you can download, I think it's a 7-page document that has all the things that we stumbled upon when we were learning about this. And whoa.
Well, what we did, that deserves some little happy music.
Happy
what
music.
we did was, we're in kind of the content guidebook creation business, and we have several guidebooks for small business and many more to follow. So we created a guidebook for small business owners to help you not only understand the basics of the Americans with Disabilities Act and what legal requirements are imposed upon businesses, but also to kind of put your mind at ease that you can become compliant, and it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money, and you don't have to do a lot of crazy things to become compliant. Then we talked about some marketing suggestions we had on how you can reach out to your communities, whether you're an online business or a brick and mortar business, and how you can start immediately using the techniques that we're sharing with you today so you can start building your enterprise.
And so one of the marketing suggestions is holding an event, which is why we were keen on actually getting a little uncomfortable with talking about something that we've actually failed at when it comes to business and products and services that we have available. LinkedIn and Facebook are fantastic because they have the live captioning, and Twitter Spaces was great because they used to, and then they took it away, and there was some uproar, and I don't think they brought it back. And but we don't. A lot of our downloads, like, they're not in audio form. If somebody's vision impaired, we've not extended ourselves. So we were really we wanted to be a part of, hopefully, a solution in
well, we are certainly going to
Right.
start improving
yeah.
our reach to persons with disabilities using some of the techniques that we talk about in the guidebook, but also improving. So we already use captions on our YouTube videos and in our Instagram videos. Although me being the champion speller that I am, often call Linda out on spelling mistakes on our captions. So I would just want to see an improvement there, because while someone may be hard of hearing, that doesn't mean they can't spell.
Right.
And they want to be treated with that respect, because I like spelling, Linda, right?
Right.
That's the second time I've thrown you under the bus.
That's fine.
By the way.
That's fine. I'm prepared for it, because this, like I said, we kind of put this together only in the last few days. And as far as the captions go, like, Instagram is also fantastic. Facebook is also fantastic with their reels. And when you infuse, probably not the right word, but when you activate captions, and TikTok too has captions, those are defaults on speech to text. And so there is some exercising of manual, corrections that have to be made. So yeah, that's not me, Trev. That's the device, or whatever, the platform.
Okay, you're forgiven.
Okay, so since we have a lot that will also be in the download,
I would like to define the Americans with Disabilities Act, and then we're going to get into some kind of the meat and potatoes of the ADA, and try to remove the anxiety from small business owners' minds about how to become compliant. It doesn't have to be expensive, and you can do some simple things. So first of all, definition. The Americans with Disabilities Act prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities in several areas, including employment, transportation, public accommodations, communications, and access to state and local government programs and services. So that's the essential definition. And the U.S. Department of Justice sums up a section of the ADA, which is called Title III, by saying that public accommodations must comply with basic non-discrimination requirements that prohibit exclusion, segregation, and unequal treatment. They also must comply with specific requirements related to architectural standards for new and altered buildings, reasonable modifications to policies, practices, and procedures, effective communication with people with hearing, vision, or speech disabilities, and other access requirements. And to summarize, in other words, small businesses with facilities that serve the public, such as restaurants and shops, are still required to make facilities accessible. So there is some legal stuff.
Okay.
You're back.
I'd like to just say hi on Twitter Spaces to your ops guy, aka I know who you are. And Ben, thank you for joining us. And of course, Marquetta, thank you for being here. And if you are joining us on video, thank you again as well. And if you'd like to say hi, just, say hi in the comments so we can see that you're here. And we have a POAP, which your ops guy knows, and he's actually part of the problem that I am addicted to POAPs right now. And I will be DMing you with a POAP link. If you are not familiar with POAPs, it's proof of attendance. It is a digital NFT that just basically is a collectible that you were somewhere with me, with us, talking about these types of topics. So once again, welcome to Twitter Spaces and YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, talking about biz banter, empathy, and enterprise, and really just wanting to bring in awareness to small businesses and how we can better accommodate persons with disabilities. And I'm getting kicked under the table.
As a reminder to those folks who are just recently joined us from Twitter Spaces, we are broadcasting this live on YouTube, and you will be able to watch the replay on YouTube later on. So you'll be able to hear the awesome sound effects. Like right now, I'm applauding myself.
And also, we do want to thank Nicole once again for being here as our ASL interpreter. We wanted all access to, yes, why are you
So
cutting out?
you'll see Nicole on the YouTube video replay as well, because we brought in her to assist us with ASL interpretation for our viewers
Broadcast.
who may be disabled with hearing issues. And we want to also introduce all those Twitter folks who just joined us recently at auroraconsulting.biz at our website. You can download a free guidebook that we created. We call it a Beacon series. And that is a guidebook to Americans with Disabilities Act, including definitions, compliance, a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, but also some marketing ideas.
Suggestions. Yeah. And it's also a little bit of a smoother flow than us kind of impromptu going live with a topic that we are not entirely familiar with. We have, again, we threw ourselves under the bus that I'm learning new things as well. So when this topic was suggested, we really wanted to embrace it for those that every day have to, be challenged with how they're consuming a business's products and services.
But this is the part where I kind of chide,
yeah,
CHIDE,
Mhm.
chide. Yes, I'm a spelling champion. Chide our small business owner listeners and challenge you. Increase your enterprise. Find some empathy for folks with disabilities and create methods so you can enhance your business enterprise by making your business more accessible and inviting persons with disabilities to do business with you, which allows those folks to feel like they're a more integrated part of our community. And number two, helps you to feel and possibly legally be compliant with the ADA. And last but not least, you make more money.
Yeah.
And that's really what I wanted to talk about, making more money.
Well, I'd like to bring this to your attention that because, when I was in the insurance business, we had a physical brick and mortar agency, and there were a few stairs in the front of the building, and there were stairs in the back of the building. But for the front, the zoning, we had to go before the zoning because it was a residential and we converted it to commercial. So we had to go before the zoning board, and there we were exempt from having to put like a ramp in or other means for physical disabilities.
I'm really glad you brought that up because that's a great segue.
Yeah, it's part of my job.
I just want to watch Nicole do the ASL for Linda and Trevor laughing out loud. Oh, there it is. I love it. I love it with the head. Okay. So that is a great segue into compliance. So, and before I get into required items, let's talk about what's not required under ADA. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A key word in the Americans with Disabilities Act is the word reasonable. And so you have to provide a reasonable aspect of accommodation, which is usually interpreted as meaning anything that would result in a fundamental alteration of a business model, right? But this type of accommodation is actually not required, nor are modifications necessary that would create an undue hardship or a direct threat to the survival of the business or the success of the business. For example, a store is not required to place special orders or deliver products to a customer with a disability if such a service is not already provided to other customers, right? So if you're a pizza shop that does not do delivery, to be compliant with ADA, you do not have to create a special delivery option just for persons with disability. On the other hand, creating such an option does exactly what we're talking about today because it expands your marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Reasonable also applies to feasibility. A small business with limited resources may not be expected to make as many ADA accommodations as a large corporation. So we think it's a good idea to be as compliant as possible. And to aid with accommodations, some businesses may qualify for free community services and alternative funding options, such as state programs or other tax deductions. So again, we come back to money. There are aspects that may assist you in making your business qualify.
What did you read something about how, like, there was a restaurant or an establishment where they had like a portable ramp that they could put out if somebody was coming with a wheelchair?
I don't know if I saw that or if that was an idea I came up with. In other words, similar to if you're a restaurant and you have menus that are on QR code, do you also have menus that are available in Braille for your visually impaired or blind customers? And likewise, if your business, either through the feasibility, right, exemption, which in a way feasibility, if it's not feasible for you to create an accommodation for a person with disability, or if it's not reasonable, then, under ADA, you don't have to do it. But what about if you did it anyway? And that's where I come up with the idea of kind of a portable ramp where you have a sign in the window that says, please, we want you to come inside. We are wheelchair accessible, and have a way of somebody outside connecting with the staff inside, at which point the staff could bring out a temporary ramp that would allow a person with a wheelchair or other mobility issues to enter the restaurant or the physical business through use of the ramp. So that's kind of what we're focusing on in this program in our broadcast is empathy, to understand that those folks need special access, but also your enterprise, because if you provide that opportunity, you're going to make more money.
Well, I just want to say, I want to say hello to Lauren for joining us. And I have to tell you, with all the tech that was involved with putting this particular episode together, I don't even know if you were to ask to come up to speak and maybe ask a question. I don't even know if I could pull that off.
Well, I'd like to. We are going to try. And the reason, Lauren, and our Twitter Spaces audience, the reason that Linda says that is because what we decided to do and what we are doing in real time here is not only are we chatting with you all on Twitter Spaces, but we're using some fancy gadgets, and we're recording and we're live broadcasting a video broadcast on our YouTube channel, along with our guest, Nicole, who is our ASL interpreter. A round of applause for Nicole.
I know.
So we have a lot of wires running around the end of the dining room table here in our house in New England. And we're hoping that when it comes down to Twitter Spaces questions, that the technology works and that we will be able to hear you. But even if it doesn't work with the existing technology, we're going to figure out a way.
Well, you know how I'm going to figure it out? I'm going to test it right now with our own Aurora Consulting.
Yeah, I think that's a big mistake.
And do you think it's a big mistake?
Yeah, I think it's better to ask someone like Marquetta or Lauren or somebody to ask a question, and then we can test it out. So,
you think so?
Sure. Why don't we do that?
Well, actually, this isn't even, it does say requested. Okay, so add as a speaker. But you're right. I see. Now there's an echo. Yeah. I can't use my phone next to me.
No, you cannot. That's why I said it was a bad idea, but you went ahead. And you did it anyway.
Hey, we test and we break things. That's all there is to it. We like to test and break things. So, all right. Now, I think, see, look, I have the volume down on the phone. I'm gonna have them drop back down to listener. I'm gonna drop myself back down.
Folks, just if you're confused, I'm literally sitting right next to her with studio lights on and beautiful afternoon sunshine coming in through the windows, and I don't know what the heck she's doing either.
I don't either. I don't even know how to turn myself off. Oh my gosh. That's okay. Listen, we're switch to listener. Okay, I did it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank goodness.
There we go. And Marie's here. Hello, Marie. Hello, Lauren. Hello, your ops guy and Ben.
So why don't we have somebody come up on stage? Is that what you call it in Twitter Spaces? And see if we can get the audio working and ask a question.
I'm afraid. I'm
I'm
not
not
gonna
afraid.
lie. I'm totally fine. I don't know how Ryan Carson does this on the Daily Dose every single day or whenever,
All right,
whatever
can we
that is.
get somebody up to ask a question?
Well, okay. I don't know if somebody's. Oh, look at John just got here. Maybe John wants to brave and ask a question. I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but we're just testing the tech here. We do have some comments. See, I'm just so used to video and the platforms of video that this whole Twitter Spaces thing is freaking me out. I've never done it without the phone. All right, so nobody's asking to come
All right,
up.
so then
let's
we'll
just
come
go
back to that.
Let's go back. We're going to
go
test
back
it at some point.
to definition in terms of compliance. So we mentioned feasibility and what's reasonable. Okay. So businesses are not required to jeopardize the safe operation of the business to aid those with disabilities, and they're not required to hire somebody with a disability if the candidate cannot perform the essential functions of the job with reasonable accommodation. And we come back again to one of my favorite words, reasonable. And so as you review in our free download, and if you don't know already, go to auroraconsulting.biz and you can download our free ADA guide for small business. It's called, it's part of our, what's called
Small Business Owner's Guide to Accessibility.
Thank you.
Did
Small
you turn
business.
my mic off?
I did because you were breathing heavy and doing something with a tissue. You know, and I have to be audio engineer as well as speaker.
Hey, I got to be me. Okay. I got to be me.
So now I completely lost my space,
about employees.
But Linda does that to me all the time. That's why not only is she terrible with my scripts for herself, but then she jumps in and interferes with me reading the script.
Yeah. Well, am I muted again? Is my mic?
No, you're back
okay.
on.
All right, good.
Okay. Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I? Okay. So businesses are not required to jeopardize the safe operation of the business to comply with ADA. But again, reaching outside the box, coloring outside the lines, if you will, to help empathize with persons with disability and to expand your enterprise. What ideas can you come up with where, you know, while a compliance person might say, you know, that's a jeopardy issue for your business, if you can find a way to accommodate a customer with a disability, you know, by coloring outside the lines, by coming up with creative and innovative ideas, then by all means, we encourage you to do that. That's why we're doing today's broadcast. Okay. Finally, there is no requirement to provide accommodation outside the scope of the ADA. For example, quote, comfort, quote, therapy, quote, emotional support animals do not meet the definition of a service animal under the ADA. How about that? Animals that fall into the category of comfort service or therapy service or emotional support service. These animals do not fit into the category of ADA compliance. Only a certified service animal under the ADA regulations complies with your need to or is required for you to provide access. And this is important because in today's newspaper here in Connecticut, a business in a town just nearby us just settled with the Justice Department an ADA claim. And the customer claimed that the restaurant would not allow the customer to access the business with their animal. Okay. And so the settlement called for a direct payment to the customer, called for a penalty payment to the government, and basically remediation processes to be implemented by the business. Interestingly, as the Justice Department in their press release indicated, there were other issues in the restaurant with regards to failure to comply with ADA, notably in the restrooms, lacking of railings and other things.
Interesting.
And I wonder, again, all I was reading was a very brief article in a local paper that came out of a press release. Not knowing the full facts of the case, I wonder if the animal in question was really a service animal under ADA guidelines. Because we know that from our restaurant owner clients that we've had, that people will show up with an emotional support animal and insist on
Should
being
I
seated.
not tell the story about the emotional support dog?
No, you're not telling that story.
Oh my God, that's a story for another day over cocktails. Cause
yeah, that's all we're
crazy.
going to do about that. Okay. So, okay.
All right. So, Elisa, thanks for being here. She brings up fair housing. Do you have any comments, seeing as you were an expert?
I don't know how ADA and fair housing
Is it the building codes? Yeah,
it's not really in the scope of. Sorry, Lisa, it's not really within the scope of what we're talking about today. What our research did, what we did for researching for today's broadcast was all about small businesses being compliant with ADA, not landlords or real estate owners or real estate developers.
Do we want to talk about the banner that I just put up about customer service training of employees?
Go ahead. You can talk all you like. I can get to drink tea.
Well, I wonder, I think there's a shortage in general, not even ADA compliant or ADA sensitive about training of employees and general communication. I think, and again, because this is called empathy and enterprise, typically it's very stressful to run a business. We know this. Customer service can be super stressful depending on communication and expectations of a customer. I am of the mindset that the customer is not always right, but I also feel as though business owners can get it very wrong when it comes to training employees and or just interacting with customers with a clear, cohesive communication plan. So when it comes,
this might be a bone of contention that leads to us having a different broadcast sometime in the future, which is I do believe in the credo, the customer is always right.
We're definitely going to have to do something about that.
And the reason I want to qualify that statement by understanding, first of all, before I started my 30-year career in the mortgage industry, I worked in customer service in the retail trade, specifically in electronics. And so I rose through the ranks from customer service rep to regional manager. So I have a very sincere belief in the phrase, the customer is always right. That having been said, like everything, there are boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So you can enhance the culture of your business to train your workers, your team, your employees to embrace that phrase, understanding that doesn't give a customer the right to abuse them. It doesn't give the customer the right to cross boundaries that are generally unacceptable. But the reason I think, and I'm going to get off of it because it's off topic for our show, but the reason I think the phrase customer is always right is important to imbue in your staff is because too often people get impatient with the customer.
Yes.
And if you are, owning that phrase, living that phrase, the customer is always right, you're going to find ways to accommodate the customer. And that segues right back to exactly what we're talking about. Because if your customer service people are trained and imbued with this culture, the customer is always right, that means if someone calls the business on the telephone and that person might be hearing impaired,
mm-hmm.
that person may have, as our president does, a stutter.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that Marilyn Monroe had a stutter?
I didn't know that until you just told me the other day. Were you watching a documentary or something?
I learned it on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Well, she used to live here in Roxbury. For those of you who know that we live in Roxbury, Connecticut.
Yes, because I'm literally sitting right next to you. I am right here
in our house.
I can hear you.
This is saying StreamYard is saying we're having some trouble on Facebook. There's a big, I don't know why. It's Facebook.
Yeah, there you go. So if your staff is imbued with this cultural, it has to be felt really deeply with every member of your organization, even somebody in back office operations. Customer is always right because it helps them to define how they interact with customers. And here, since we're talking about reaching out and expanding your enterprise to persons with disabilities, that probably now more than ever means everything. The customer.
I should have worn my T-shirt. Now more than ever, 2020.
Tim Sohn.
Yeah.
Now more than ever.
Yeah, I got him and his daughter a now more than ever T-shirt.
3.5 years ago, when we started our YouTube broadcasts, Often Tim would be the only person watching.
It's an audience of one for literally like 6 months. So that was pretty funny. But so, Marquetta, I know you were here on video watching on YouTube. Is it still blurry? I'm curious because number one, I think StreamYard, I might have to upgrade our StreamYard subscription so that it's not just 720 because that's the max and maybe get the 1080. These all the different tiers of things we can spend money on, right? So, but I didn't know. We also had to get an extender for the house. I mean, you'd think we'd live in a house that's like 5,000 square feet. We don't. It's only 1,500 square feet. It's a tiny little house. And yet we need an extender.
So if you're just joining us on Twitter Spaces, we want to tell you that we are broadcasting simultaneously on our YouTube channel. And later on, we will edit and trim that and put it back up as a rebroadcast. And if you are watching on video, then make sure you give a big thumbs up to our friend Nicole, who is acting as our ASL interpreter for those folks who are hearing impaired.
I'm digging the captions on LinkedIn. I just saw Palmolive.
Oh, because I mentioned that word earlier.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it's that because that's a huge delay then. Okay. Anyhow.
And we'd also like to, for those folks just joining us, to let you know that we created a guidebook for small businesses to understand responsibilities, requirements, and some creative ideas on how you can expand your enterprise by showing some empathy to folks with disabilities. And you can find our free download download guidebook at auroraconsulting.biz.
Let me put that banner up.
Put that banner up.
Okay. Up. So with that, I think the download it's a nice piece. It's a nice little piece summarizing all the banter that we've been stumbling all over today. I feel, it really is something to do something uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable when you are talking about stuff you don't know. And we're doing it today. And, whatever it is, we're just hoping that just like we have been learning about ADA and how 1 in 4 Americans are disabled, how small business owners can...
That's 61 million of our fellow Americans.
We just hope that there can be an outreach, some kind of, embracing of the reality that small business owners could be missing the mark with doing some simple adjustments with how they make their products and services available. Don't you think?
I love that you said uncomfortable, because I think to expand your enterprise by showing this extra level of empathy for persons with disabilities is going to take a lot of you outside of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. But I want to say this to you. If you do that, it's only while you prepare, while you set up systems or mechanisms or marketing ideas that create that accessibility. In other words, once you've done it, it's done. And then hopefully you are attracting a larger demographic for your business and through the disabled persons community.
Is there anything else you wanted to add anything we did not address in your very comprehensive script?
I have all
that makes my eyes blurry.
I have all kinds of comprehensive still coming your way. So I want to talk about 5 specific areas of disabilities.
Okay.
To kind of, raise our awareness. Number 1, color blindness.
Yes. I thank you for bringing that up, because this is why I have a pen and a notebook for when I can't remember stuff, because I walk into a room and I don't remember things. So I appreciate that, because you brought that to my attention about a company. Oh, the SBA, how the SBA, when we were going through the disaster loan, they would, click on the blue button or click on the red button.
Yeah. So with color blindness, if you have color tagged navigation tabs on your website, and if you have a pop-up box that says, click on the blue button for this, that, or the other thing, well, a person who is colorblind may not understand how to find the blue button because they can't see the color blue.
Mhm.
And what Linda was just referencing was during the COVID pandemic, we assisted thousands of small business owners around the country to navigate the incredibly desperate, driven, and anxiety-ridden and nightmare experience of the COVID-19 EIDL program, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, including over 500 direct clients that we consulted for. And very often on the phone with the SBA would say to someone, well, you can request an increase for your loan by going back into your personalized portal for your business and clicking on the blue button. That's a federal agency that is out of compliance potentially, because that statement should say, press the button that says request an increase.
Well, the whole color blue button versus red button, which they did have a difference between the two buttons and the colors. Even if they were compliant with the ADA, those damn buttons did not work anyway.
Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Like,
so next is and the next topic is hearing impaired, and that's why we've asked Nicole to join us as our ASL, American Sign Language interpreter, for our video broadcast and rebroadcast on YouTube. So for people with hearing impairments, these folks face multiple challenges in doing business with you. So you want to pay special attention to closed captioning on your video presentations or your website and ensure there's reasonable accessibility with telephone access. And again, going back to that brief conversation we had a moment ago about the customer's always right, someone calling up may have some challenges communicating to your person on the phone, your employee, that they have a hearing impairment. Mm-hmm. I don't know if these devices are still available, but I remember devices that people could type in information, and on the receiving end, you could see that information printed out. So again, it's just another
I'm going to interrupt you because I want to throw Aurora Consulting under the bus because I cannot even say that I'm familiar with. I mean, I know a little research would do the trick, but I don't even know what tech is out there or what devices are out there for a business on the other end, on the receiving end of a call from a hearing impaired person. What is available? What is the tech? I don't know as a small business owner. And we were working with thousands of small business owners, and I'm sure there were people that didn't call us because we didn't have that accessibility.
Once again, Linda Ray leads me to a fantastic segue.
Since I don't know the script, I might as well at least come up with stuff.
I mean, I wasn't finished with the list of disability topics, but real quick, and this you'll find this along with some other website links in our free download guide for small businesses and accessibility. There's a website called accessibility.com.
Yes.
And this provides exceptional information to small businesses about ADA features. So I'm sure you can find that answer to your question there, Linda. So
and again, that's also in our download by going to auroraconsulting.biz, which the banner is on the screen. There should be a pop-up, and if not the home screen, there's a form. It's free. There's a form if you scroll down, and you'll be able to grab that and have those resources.
We have a series of guidebooks that we have created and that we continue to create for small businesses called our Beacon series. Beacon as in a light in the dark. And this is one of those content guides, and this one is free. Some of them you have to pay for because, we like money too, and we're in business also. But this one is a free download, so please visit our website and get your free copy. We cover all the information we're discussing, and plus much more.
Plus much more, because I was not prepared for the script.
So next area of disability to be aware of is visual impairment.
Mm-hmm.
Persons with this disability can run the gamut from legal blindness, where they may have some visual ability, but for various reasons they are considered legally blind, And of course, there is complete physical blindness. So you want to ask the difficult questions. We talked before about getting outside your comfort zone. Get outside your comfort zone. Ask those questions. Walk through your physical business if it's a brick and mortar. Elisa mentioned Fair Housing Act earlier. If you're a landlord or a building owner, or you own a commercial building and you're renting it out, what challenges can you see that a visually impaired person may encounter? And how can you ameliorate that, either to become compliant with ADA or simply just to expand your enterprise and make it easier for those folks to do business with you? Next item is website access.
Ooh, okay. Because now this is where I'm a little more comfortable when you start talking about marketing and access to information, i.e. marketing. So go for it. What you got?
Just like the walkthrough that I just mentioned for a physical property, do the same thing with your website. Look at your website from the perspective of somebody who may be colorblind or visually impaired or hearing impaired, and look for things that you can do to improve their accessibility. And again, that website, accessibility.com, I think will have some pretty good ideas for you on how you can run through the website and look for improvements. Last but not least, we kind of sort of covered it already, is physical access. While the ADA has specific physical access requirements, which I'll get to in just a moment, even the simplest steps you take can allow for better physical navigation for persons with wheelchairs, walkers, or even visual disabilities. And this can go a long way to opening your doors to a larger customer base.
All right. I'm just noticing that there are links that we had in our CRM that because they were hyperlinked, they may not actually be in the download, which I can easily fix.
That's okay. If you download, so one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we often provide follow-up free downloads to enhance downloads you've already received from us. In other words, we don't just want to collect your email and put it in our database and spam the heck out of you 12 times a day, asking if you'd like to go on a Tahitian vacation with me.
If anyone's going on a Tahitian vacation with you, it's me. So back off, ladies. All right.
I love watching Nicole, our ASL interpreter, do the whole back off ladies thing. There was a whole hand thing, like it was very physical. Back off. And we're going to keep it clean because we're not going to say back off.
Bleep, 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 bleep. All right. So we if you get the download and you come into our database, we started out our COVID-19 disaster loan financing business by giving away free information. March 17th, 2020, when we were notified by multiple banks that they were not going to fund the loans we had placed with them for our clients. We were financing brokers at the time, and we pivoted to become disaster loan experts. But in the interim, a couple of weeks there, we agreed that all we were going to do was go on the internet and give away free, high quality, accurate information, because I knew from my mortgage career doing this during the subprime meltdown and all of that, how much misinformation could suddenly appear on the internet, and the sharks come out and the scammers come out. So that's why if you come into our database with a free download, or if you buy one of our content guides, we don't spam you, but we are going to certainly give you, hopefully, valuable information that you can use to improve your business in the future. I just put, if you're watching on video, I did put 3 links to the resources that may not yet be in the download that I will go back in and fix, but they are on the YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Actually, I still think Facebook is working, but and then as soon as I fix that, when we get out of this show, I'm going to put it in the tweet that has this Twitter Spaces episode. So thank you.
And once again, if you have come into the show later on the Twitter Spaces, just to let you know, we are simultaneously broadcasting this live on our YouTube channel.
on
And
both YouTube channels,
our friend
actually.
Nicole has joined us as an ASL interpreter, which you can see her live on our YouTube channel and later on the rebroadcast once we edit the video and put it back up. And we are offering a free download on our website, the Small Business Guide to Accessibility for Persons with Disabilities.
All right. Well, I think that it wraps it up for us today. And unfortunately, until we do the 2.0 of Twitter Spaces with a simultaneous, what is it, live streaming?
I don't know, but I'm looking at Nicole. Even she looks confused by what you're doing.
Well, multi-streaming on not only audio, but also video. I do not know how to get people up to ask a question. And actually, that would have been a really nice little enhancement, because there are probably people that...
Are you saying that the Twitter Spaces won't allow us to bring people up on stage?
Well, I can bring people on stage, but I don't know with this adapter plugged in.
It's supposed to work.
It's supposed to work where we can see that, or where we can hear them?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
well... I didn't do it with our phone because it was the other phone sitting right next to us. We have 3 phones on the table.
The audio from Twitter Spaces.
2 laptops, an iPad, 2 microphones, and a console, a podcasting console, and
an empty cup of tea.
And water. And good thing all the wiring is on the table, because I could, possibly trip because I'm so clumsy.
What comments do you folks want to share with us on Twitter about this topic of empathy and enterprise for persons with disability in your small business, and how it relates to you and expanding your enterprise?
Well, I don't think that we should have posed that as a opportunity to well, I'm going to read what Marquetta said. So here we go, because I did check. Oh, good. So Thompson, who is the person that inspired this, said that they are watching on YouTube and they have a great ASL interpreter.
Hey, Nicole! 2 thumbs up! Yay! Hold on. Round of applause for Nicole and Thompson.
So here is Mark.
Take a bow, Nicole.
So Marquetta has a comment here on Twitter: informal walkthrough how small businesses can become more accessible to persons with disabilities. Thank you. Focus is on ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. However, this is a universal topic. It is indeed, Marquetta. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I did see her, she had another comment as well, but I'm not easily finding it, unfortunately. But that's okay. So let's not slow down this fast-paced, amazing show. So do you have anything else you'd like to add, other than I'd like to say thank you, number 1, to Nicole, number 2, to Trevor for putting together the script, to Thompson, who tweeted, who inspired us. And thank you for listening and watching where you are. I'd like to thank all of you who have tuned in: Marie, Lauren, Marquetta, your ops guy, aka Mike. I know John was in here. I'm sending you guys a POAP link, because that's how I do. And for those watching, Mike from Writer's Sanctuary, thank you, kind sir. Very much appreciated.
Wait a minute. And Mike from Writer's Sanctuary is here? He did not ask a question about running a credit report?
No, he did not. But he did offer to come up on Twitter and ask a question. But I didn't see him in Twitter Spaces. I know he was on YouTube. So, but this is going to be something we monitor for ourselves. And I challenge all of you to monitor it for your own business, and where you could perhaps advance your deliverables and advance your products and services, and how people can consume your products and services for your business. Because again, the enterprise part of this title of empathy and enterprise is, 61 million Americans who are disabled, they still have to buy things. So why not, if you're able to offer them something of interest, why not be a part of that and share that you care, right? And also that also builds reputation with that you're, sensitive to these things.
The reason the enterprise aspect resonates with me so deeply is that, well, twofold. First of all, as a mortgage banker for 30 years, I got in the business so that I could learn how to become a homeowner. Nobody in my family owned a house, and I wanted to do that. And I achieved that. Plus, I put my mom and dad in their first house. And I spent 30 years proving wrong many first-time homebuyers who said, you can't get me approved for a mortgage. No way. You can't get me into a house. And I would say, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I did time and time and time and time again for thousands of people. So that segues. The reason why this resonates with me is because when you are running a small business, you can languish in the failures and how difficult it is. I saw a survey this morning where 94% of small business owners think the economy is not doing great, and think the economy, we're on the verge of a recession. Just to be clear, folks, I'm a student of economics. We are not on the verge of a recession. Stop listening to Elon Musk and all these big wealthy jackasses telling you we're going to recession. All of the economic indicators point in the opposite direction, including jobs reports that are coming out every week, and inflation went down again today. So when I see a survey that says 94% of small business owners, that to me annoys me, because I think instead of complaining, instead of languishing in your misery, pick yourself up in the morning, come up with a creative idea, roll your sleeves up, and go out there and find more business.
Yeah. Oh boy. I mean, the sales and marketing aspect of running a business, I could talk about that all day long. And
we're going to.
And they're two different things. Sales is different than marketing. And so, which is why we were very keen on talking about this topic, because we felt that we need to expand our horizon and how we build our products and services. So
marketing gets the customer in the showroom. Marketing gets the customer onto your website. Marketing gets the email inquiry through your Etsy page. Marketing gets the text message inquiry about the price of your product or service. Sales closes the deal. And we're going to explore this more in future months and years.
We are not going to do a video and Twitter Spaces. I can't handle this. I'm not going to lie.
Well, we might. I kind of like it. If we can figure out how to get people to ask questions.
I have to figure out the tech on the phone with the Spaces.
Linda and I are veteran salespeople. Linda is an insurance broker, and I was a mortgage banker. And, we both sold intangibles. She sold insurance, and I sold money. And as a salesperson, we didn't eat. We couldn't pay our rent if we didn't go out and find business. That's why it makes me blink crazy when business owners complain about how hard it is. It's hard to find people to hire. It's hard with inflation prices. I agree. But you know what? No one ever said that running a small business was easy.
Yeah.
But if you are challenged with your business growing, or if it's stagnating, I say pick yourself up, go out there and go and find more business. And this topic we discussed today about expanding your enterprise by showing empathy to persons with disability is exactly what I mean. Go there, do a little work, go to the download our free guidebook, go to accessibility.com, make yourself familiar with things, think outside the box, and come up with ideas where you can expand your marketplace.
It still goes to the whole getting uncomfortable, and how discomfort can actually drive us to be a little bit more ambitious. I think it can motivate us to try something, and even if it doesn't work, you could learn from it, I think, and take a nugget away of how to improve a process or a system or a skill, especially when it comes to sales. So, all right, with that, did you have me muted?
No, I was muted.
Oh.
I was muted because we're picking up a lot of room sound, and because I'm not just a host of this broadcast, I'm also the technical engineer.
Yes,
so I'm trying to make our broadcast sound
good.
The
curtain. You wrote the script, so I get the.
But I just want to go back to comfort zone again about selling things, because this is the moment where when we have conversations in person with business owners, we were business financing brokers before COVID. And during COVID, we've spoken to thousands of small business owners between our YouTube channels. We used to do free 15-minute phone consultations, our own clients. And of course, when we go out in the world to businesses, we meet people and we get to know them. And 99% of the case, as soon as Linda and I start talking about trying to sell more, people get squeamish.
Yeah.
They get uncomfortable. They start squirming in their seat because they don't want to be seen as a slimy salesperson. But guess what? I don't care if you're a book author or a restaurant owner or you're manufacturing finely fabricated parts for aviation technologies. You got to sell it.
You got to ask for the order.
And you've got to get yourself out of your comfort zone and make yourself uncomfortable. And I'll just tell you, there's two quick stories to kind of cap that. Years ago, I had these two friends, both of whom I grew up with.
Oh, this story.
They started their own businesses. They didn't know each other. These are two separate businesses. And the one guy was in the dietary supplements business. He had taught himself. He had gotten himself certified through the FDA and all of that. And he had a little factory, probably with a dozen employees or so. He's living a good life, making a good living. But we went to lunch one day and he complained about some big accounts. He wanted to get into a big pharmacy chain. He wanted to get into a health supplement chain, retail chain, and sell them his products. And he was tired of just selling his products to kind of like little mom and pops. He wanted to grow his business. So I said to him, well, here's what you need to do. Lock yourself in your office for 1 hour every day. And before you lock the door, you tell your staff, I am not to be disturbed for the next 60 minutes. And in that 60 minutes, go through your Rolodex. Remember Rolodex, folks? You flip through the cards as a name and a phone number. Go through your contacts list. Pick up the phone and call people. Craft an email. Create a marketing piece. Get on the phone and sell stuff. The second friend, ironically, his business was actually not very far from the other guy's business. And he was in the silkscreen business. So if your kid had a softball or a baseball team at school, or it was an adult softball team and you wanted T-shirts, he's the kind of guy who would do the T-shirts, silk screening the T-shirts. And a lot of his business came through what he called promotional brokers. The brokers had the contacts in the communities, and then they would place the orders with him. And he was complaining about the bad payers, the brokers who he would do a big order of 300 T-shirts, and it was always on a rush, and they had to get done, and he'd be working in the shop until 1 o'clock in the morning. And, and then terms are, net 2 weeks or net 30 days for payment. And 6 months later, he's still chasing the broker for payment. And I said to him, what you need to do is find yourself a better quality of broker. And the way you do that is you tell your assistant, I'm locking myself in my office for 1 hour every morning, and I'm going to call on other brokers. And both of those guys looked at me like I had 18 heads.
Yeah.
And by the way, they never did it, either one of them, because so many small business owners are squeamish about the idea of selling stuff. Well, folks, if you enjoyed our program and if you learned something, we hope that you learned one thing. Showing some empathy for persons with disability will improve your enterprise, but you have to take the actions.
Yes.
You have to get outside your comfort zone. You have to come up with the creative ideas and the implementation concepts to make your business more accessible and sell more stuff.
There you go. And on that note, again, auroraconsulting.biz, you can download the summary of this 1 hour and almost 4 minute show. And before I thank Nicole for being our ASL interpreter, thank you so much. If you also go to auroraconsulting.biz, there is a page dedicated to my glitch project, which encompasses 366 small business mistakes. And it is a membership type program because not everybody understands how the NFT world works, but essentially you gain access to a bunch of content that helps small businesses improve their daily activities and mistakes we've made, we've seen, we've fixed.
We've heard about, and already I can tell that, speaking of squeamish, I can tell there are some folks in the audience, whether this is on the replay or live, who are maybe getting squeamish about the idea of NFTs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, isn't that FTX and all the criminal crypto fraudsters? No, it's not. And
you can actually buy it with a credit card, so you have no.
It's just
crypto
another
involved.
Content product that we created.
Mm-hmm.
It was Linda's. It was Linda's.
It was
sweetheart.
my baby.
It was her baby.
We launched on New Year's Eve.
And I'll tell you, to come up with 366 mistakes.
You were my
was hard work.
We did it together.
So if you purchase one of these NFTs, if you mint it, which is what happens when you purchase it.
Well, you can
Okay.
No.
I don't want to get into the technical here. No, we're not going to do that. Okay. No.
Okay.
You will be subscribed and
Yes.
you will receive all of the mistakes.
Yes.
In an email newsletter, right?
No. You don't even know how.
I don't even know how it works. Okay, I'm going to sign off now. Big shout out to Nicole for being an amazing ASL interpreter for us today. And thank you all for tuning in. I'm Trevor, and this is Linda Ray, and we are Aurora Consulting.
Thank you so much.
Small business owners, this is for you.
This is for you. PSA out. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Be healthy. Okay, and we're going to end broadcast. Nicole, don't go anywhere.